Welcome to this explainer. We usually think of global markets as being pulled by the strings of central banks, trade deals, or just how consumers are feeling. But what if I told you that sometimes the absolute most powerful force in the economy is literally just the weather outside your window? Let's dive right into a wild example of how massive macroeconomic shifts are sometimes driven entirely by Mother Nature. So, what exactly does heavy rainfall have to do with pharmaceutical sales? It's a great question, right? On the surface, it feels totally disconnected. When the sky opens up, you think of people rushing out to buy umbrellas, maybe raincoats, or grabbing some comfort food. But a sudden, massive spike in medicine? Figuring out this specific link actually reveals a massive ripple effect in the global healthcare economy. It shows us just how deeply interconnected our physical environment is with our financial markets. And that brings us to the core thesis of our explainer today. When the July monsoons really intensify, acute therapy sales in the pharma industry absolutely surge. This is crucial to understand. It perfectly illustrates how a macro-environmental event, something as huge and uncontrollable as a seasonal storm system, can directly dictate sudden, super-specific micro-shifts in market demand. It's a literal textbook case of cause and effect playing out on a massive scale.
Section 1. The monsoon season intensifies.
You see, the monsoon season isn't just a single isolated thunderstorm that rolls through. It's a progression. Picture this. In May, you've got that stifling, baked earth pre-monsoon heat. Then June rolls around and you get the initial onset. The first rains arrive, providing a little bit of relief. But as we move the timeline into July, the monsoon doesn't just arrive, it intensifies. We're talking peak rainfall, bringing severe, systemic changes to the environment. The whole landscape transforms. And as you'll see, the economy transforms right along with it.
What's really fascinating here is the direct bridge between a weather event and a human health response. Step 1, the heavy rains hit. Step 2, we see a dramatic environmental shift. Suddenly there are huge drops in temperature, massive spikes in humidity, and pools of stagnant water everywhere. And that inevitably leads to Step 3. Those exact conditions trigger very specific public health impacts, which means people suddenly need medical help. The weather essentially hacks our biology.
Section 2. Defining acute therapies.
To really grasp the market reaction here, we need to zoom in on what people are actually rushing to the pharmacy to buy. We're talking about acute therapies. These are short-term medical treatments designed to tackle sudden, immediate illnesses, infections, or symptoms. The crucial takeaway? This is reactive medicine. We aren't talking about your daily multivitamins to stay healthy. These are the treatments you only ever buy when a sudden illness strikes. Your cough syrups, antibiotics, fever reducers, the whole anti-infective lineup.
Comparing acute therapies to chronic therapies brilliantly highlights why this dynamic happens. Think about chronic therapies, like insulin or blood pressure meds. They're long-term, stable, highly predictable. You need them just as much in December as you do in July, right? The demand is flat and steady. But acute therapies? They react to immediate environmental triggers. They are the volatile wildcard of the entire pharmaceutical sector.
So, put all this together, and monsoon conditions create the literal and figurative perfect storm for sudden illness. The intense rain, the changing humidity, the explosion of waterborne bugs, it all leaves the human body suddenly vulnerable. And boom, that biological vulnerability completely sets the economic stage.
Section 3. The July sales surge.
Let's look at the actual market reaction. There's a quote from the Economic Times that hits the nail on the head. Acute therapy sales surge in July as monsoon intensifies. This is the exact moment a weather event crosses over into a major financial event. It's no longer just a headline on the Weather Channel, it's a leading business indicator.
During the pre-monsoon period, you have a baseline of acute therapy sales, just your normal, everyday rate of sudden sickness. But then, the July surge hits. For pharma companies, July is not just another month on the calendar. It's a massive, predictable economic spike. The demand practically jumps off the charts exactly when the rain gauges start overflowing.
Month number 7. July stands out as this undeniable peak where environmental intensity and economic demand collide perfectly. For the pharma industry, it's a make-or-break window of execution. Missing this surge doesn't just mean lost revenue. It means patients out there are going without crucial, time-sensitive medications when they need them the most.
Section 4. Weather and the pharma economy.
All right, let's wrap our heads around the big economic takeaways here. First, local weather directly dictates market shifts. Second, and this is a real game changer, pharma supply chains absolutely must anticipate these seasonal spikes. Think about it. Companies can't just react to these surges. If you wait until July to make the medicine, you're already way too late. They have to effectively predict the weather months in advance, so the drugs are manufactured, shipped, and sitting on the shelves before the first drop of rain even falls. Third, acute therapies act as highly volatile economic indicators. And lastly, entire healthcare systems must proactively prep for the storm.
Which brings us to a really thought-provoking question to end on. As global weather patterns shift and become way more unpredictable, how on earth will the healthcare economy adapt to sudden, extreme surges in demand? It's fascinating to ponder, isn't it? Because if a standard, predictable July monsoon can shake up the market this dramatically, our changing climate is undoubtedly going to reshape the entire future of pharma economics. The supply chains of tomorrow won't just be reacting to the market, they'll be racing against the weather forecast. Thanks for tuning into this explainer. I really hope it gave you a fresh perspective on how the world around us directly shapes the economy within it. Keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.